Uh, so I just wanted to wrap up 2008 and what kind of year that was for me. I had mentioned in previous video that year was that by then I was in a fog of busyness, and there was a couple events that even happened leading into 2008, in 2007. Well, that will help me kind of explain where my headspace was. In 2007, it would have to have been the fall of 2007. I got a call that my dad, who I was estranged from at that point, had a brain aneurysm in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is where I partly grew up. And so I had to take overall, I think it was 6 weeks off from what I was doing in Tallahassee, from school and work, filming, and flew to Las Vegas to be the primary person to kind of support my dad through that. I'll talk about that in another video as well, because me doing that made my relationship with my dad even worse. He didn't take it as support. But anyway, I was dealing with that, and I was dealing with trying to figure out his long-term care, even when I got back to Tallahassee and I got back to my life. And mentally and emotionally at that point, late 2007 going into 2008, I didn't realize that I had been love bombed by Jared. Actually, I didn't realize that until recently. One of the things that I wanted to get clarified from him, even though it'll never happen, I won't get these things clarified from him. He's not. He's just not the one to do that. But when we first started our partnership and first started, getting to know each other and learning each other, I guess becoming friends or whatever, business partners. When I look back, there were certain very specific things that he did that I think worked on me. Worked to get me to trust him, worked to kind of bring my guard down. Not that my guard needed to be brought down, I don't think, but I think he had a sense of what he wanted to do with me, and I'm just bumping along, not completely cognizant of my world. I was laser focused on what I wanted to do, which is filmmaking and have a filmmaking career. And but I think he had a better idea of what he wanted out of me. And I just remember that the early year, he would send me good morning text, and I remember thinking how unaccustomed to that I was. I never had somebody do that to me, so it made me feel special. But I also didn't know what context he meant it. But because I'm thinking everything's on the up and up, I'm looking at it as, oh, he's just doing this as a potential friend, new business partner. So the good morning texts, the check-ins throughout the day. How's your day going? That was his thing. How's your day going? I remember that. And it did make me feel special. It made me feel very special. I had never had that before. Always checking in to see how my day was going, how I was feeling. He did a lot of that first year. That would continue in later years, but not as much as that first year. That felt like intimacy to me. And so this was all before I really started to put a picture together of who he was, and I feel like it was that type of behavior towards me, like that was the hook. That was how he got me, and then it was the sharing of his personal life, about his family, experiences in his life, stuff like that intimacy. I think that is what I caught feelings for. I didn't know I caught feelings for it because I never learned how to name that kind of a feeling, and this was the first time that it was happening, like as an adult, that, as more of as a fully formed person, supposedly. And of course it took my friend Keisha, a year later, catching it and naming it. But I think that's how he did it, And once I don't know how it works for everybody else, but for me, I think once I got a better idea of who he was and all like the toxic traits of who he was, knowing that I had these feelings, it was kind of like I was in like a little like dichotomy of, you don't want to kind of give up these feelings that feel good, even though you now know it's with somebody, it's attached to somebody that's toxic. I think part of me didn't want to give it up. Part of me wanted to like fix it and make it okay, so that I wouldn't have to like extract those feelings from my life, because those kind of feelings don't come around every day for somebody like me. And somebody like me in my, I'm going to use this word even though you're not supposed to, but lifestyle, they don't come around. And I wasn't somebody that people were just running to like want to be with and date. And I wasn't that person, To other people, I wasn't. Maybe I was ugly or something. I don't know. I mean, I never had problems getting sex. That was never my problem. Never had an issue with that, But getting somebody to care about you on like a romantic level, that was a foreign thing in my life. And I know that Jared knew that about me. It definitely makes me wonder. It makes me think, and it makes me wonder, like he must have saw me as like a mark. And I wanted to ask him, like, what do you see in me that was something that you felt like, yeah, take advantage of him. He won't know any better. And you'll get what you need. And in later years of our relationship, I would ask him pretty regularly especially when I was frustrated at him, and I would say to him, why do you want to stay around me at this point? At this point, I'm giving you hell. Every time you fuck up in a major way, I'm giving you hell. So why stay around me? Why don't you just leave? Like I know why it's hard for me to leave at this point after 9-10 years. But why don't you leave? Why don't you leave? You could find somebody better than me. Like, and he always had two responses to that. He either would say, I don't have an answer to that, or he wouldn't answer it at all. And I think I stayed, part of the reason why I stayed around in those later years, because I was waiting for him to answer that. Like, that song by Shaka Khan and Rufus, Tell Me Something Good. I think I was waiting for him to tell me something good. Like, tell me something good. Like, give me sustenance. Give me justification for why I've put in all these years with you. Like, give me something. In one of my poems, I wrote a line that says, "Give me words of safety." Give me words of safety. I think I was waiting for him to give me that all those years. Anyway, the love bombing, I've learned through other people that's a tactic of his. It's a tactic of his. I thought I was just special. I thought that I finally found somebody that saw me as special, even if it was just a friendship and a partnership. That's what I thought. But apparently it wasn't real, He was playing a character. He threw a birthday party for me later that year in November 2007, and then to this day it's my favorite birthday moment in my life, well, in my adult life. Him and Sheila planned this day of like rock climbing, and I think we probably did dinner or something, but it was just like a whole day, and they made me feel very special that day. And then the following year, in May 2008, I planned his birthday. And I feel like that was a great moment. He seemed to be very appreciative of that, and he had a good time. But yeah, I was very busy. 2008, I was trying to. We were just toiling. I just remember toiling, and I think I had blocked out a lot of efforts that I was putting out to help people with their stuff, and still trying to keep my stuff going and manage my situation and manage the productions that we were working on and developing and filming and editing and trying to get out there, It was just like such a busy cycle of filming, rehearsals, editing, casting, auditions, meetings, emails, meetings, designing DVD covers, printing DVDs, selling DVDs, doing screenings, following up with this person, following up with that person. It was just like, yeah, that was the busyness. And by summer 2008, we had so much footage and episodes from MBK. We had some short films that I got done. We had James Bland's film that I had produced. And then we were going into this film Victim, as I talked about before as well. So we just had a lot that we had, we had a lot in product at that point. And of course, then it becomes, okay, how do we use our product as leverage? Our products as leverage, And we're doing this from a little place called Tallahassee. Like, Tallahassee is not an entertainment hub. So, that was it's almost wild of me to look back and see what we were trying to accomplish from a place like Tallahassee. And then it was all of that busyness and visibility also attracted so many people trying to like jump on board our train, and I think that in and of itself was something that was very kind of overwhelming. And it also didn't necessarily feel good, because that's when I think things started to change to where it was something that, you had built this community initially with these people, and then you bring in more people, and then more people want to hop on, and it suddenly becomes like you start to feel like you're surrounded by like opportunists, and I'm sure I felt a lot of that, but I wasn't. I don't know. Like, I look back at it, I don't even know how I got through that period in terms of like mental health, because I wasn't taking time for my own mental health. I wasn't even understanding everything that was happening to me and with me and around me. Yeah. I think I was hiding inside of that fog of busyness. I think I was hiding inside of it, because my needs I wasn't addressing my needs. I think anytime my needs were coming up, I was just pushing them back down. And there was nobody around me that was in tune with my needs, because everybody was thinking about their own needs. So anyway, like I said before, I'm going to talk about the incident that blew up my time in Tallahassee. Those would have been fall 2008. Oh, I wanted to talk about something else. So I'm going to talk in another video about what the incident that blew up my time in Tallahassee, which involved James Bland. I do know that after that confession, that parking lot confession where I told Jared about my feelings, there was something that happened that always like stuck with me, and I don't feel like I ever made enough of a deal about this issue. But if I had to rank the things that I think I was most like hurt by and disrespected by from Jared out of all the years that I've known him, it was this incident. So shortly after I had that like confession, when the incident happened with the girl, and she told me she was dating him too, she thought I knew. I didn't. I confronted him about his kind of web of lies. And I wanted to break apart at that point, even though it was a lot to break apart, I feel like he was being reckless with me, but wanting my presence in his life. Anyway, Shortly after that, he had told me that he had talked to his dad, and he told his dad about the moment we had where I told him what my feelings were, and I guess just the predicament that we were in at that moment. But what I realized is that he only shared the part related to telling his dad my feelings for him, and that like he had this guy who had these feelings for him that was his business partner, and he would always kind of frame his relationship with his dad as like he would go to his dad for advice and clarity, all that stuff, guidance, direction. And I don't remember making a huge deal about it at the time that he shared this with me, but I remember over the years, it just, every time I thought about it, I realized just how deep I was like bothered by it. But you know, he told his dad about me, and I had a problem with that because I felt like, A, you didn't tell your dad the whole story. You didn't tell your dad everything you were doing that led us to this place, that led my feelings to this place. You didn't tell him all the stuff that you were doing in the previous 2.5 years of us knowing each other. You didn't tell him your stuff. You outed me to your dad, but you didn't out yourself, you know? And that bothered me, that was like such an obvious and egregious incident of how he is so willing to throw the next person under the bus, somebody that he's supposed to care about, in order to maintain his image, you know. And I was really like hurt and offended by it, because I felt like, look, it's not like you told this stuff you told your dad about me when I wasn't in your life anymore. Like, I'm still actively in your life as your business partner. We're still moving things forward. And so did you ever think about if I ever had to be around your family again? I was already around your family once or twice before. At this point, did you ever think about how I would feel having to be around them as we continued being in each other's lives, and how that would make me feel, you know, them looking at me like, oh, he's the one that is in love with my son. You know what I mean? Which is not even true. It's not the full story, you know? And I just couldn't believe that he did that. But I think that it just took me a while to understand that, how much that bothered me, you know? It took me years to understand how much that bothered me. And what he was doing with that, you know, what tactic he was taking by doing that. But yeah, I'll never get over him outing me to his dad, because I wanted to say, well, did you tell him what you did? Did you tell him what you did? Because technically, we go by the timeline, you started this. You know, you started this. You consulting with your dad, trying to figure out, what do I do about, you know, my business partner has feelings for me. But you really should have been asking your dad, what do I do about the fact that I'm attracted to men and I love bomb my business partner because I had caught feelings for him as well? Or you just decided to pretend you had caught feelings for me, or act like you did, and it's led us to this place where there's this confusion. You were looking out for only yourself, and I don't appreciate that. To this day, I don't appreciate that. I feel like that's fucked up, you know. And he did that with a couple other people where they knew that personal thing about me before I even met them. You know, he did that with Melanie, the girlfriend, and I know he did it with a few others, and probably more than a few others. And I just think that was really fucked up for him to do. If we're supposed to be friends, business partners, supposed to have this trust, like, why would you out me to these people and not out yourself? That's something a really fucked up person does. And I never got over that. I'm still working through that one. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm still working through that one. That was a rough one for me. Because that was intentional humiliation in order to save yourself from the truth. Instead of just dealing with the truth. You know, when we were preparing for Victim, this falls under those, like, just the moments of him, like, playing with me, you know, just trying to get something started. I don't know, you know, when we, once I knew about his girlfriend Mel and we were preparing for the movie Victim, and I remember one time we had to go location scouting, me and him, for the film, and she came along with us, which was kind of unexpected, but whatever. He was already kind of having me start to like hang with them, and it was okay on one hand because I liked her, you know. On the other hand, it was like, it was a little uncomfortable for me. But this one day, he's like, we're in the car, we're going on this like trip to the next town over to location scout, and he's driving, we're driving her car, and he's driving, she's in the passenger seat, I'm in the back seat, and I'm watching them, like, he's all being all lovey-dovey with her, all the touching and all the PDA, and I'm watching it from the back seat, and I'm just like, I remember sitting in the back seat of that car, watching them in the front seat, thinking to myself, is he doing all of that just because I'm in the car? I remember thinking that. Like, it kind of felt like he was putting on a performance in front of me, and I'm just thinking, like, is this like something that turns you on? You know, is that why you're doing it? Are you doing it to further like play with my head? Like, I remember thinking in that car that his behavior in that car, that PDA was on purpose. I remember thinking that. And then I remember an incident where we were trying to pull together the wardrobe for the film, and in the film, the character in the film Victim, the character spends a lot of time around his house, and he's only wearing like underwear in his house, right? So this one time he was like, oh, I have a bunch of like underwear options, but we're gonna have to go through and pick out which style we want, right? And I'm like, okay. So I meet him at his house one evening, and he literally is trying on different types of underwear and, you know, modeling the underwear for me. Like briefs, boxer briefs, boxers, bikini briefs, like the whole time. Looking back, probably I felt this in the moment too, but definitely looking back, I'm going, God, that was so, what we were doing was so gay. It was so gay. Like, my friend and business partner is modeling underwear for me for the film. And I remember as we were finishing up that night, his girlfriend walks in, Mel walks in from work. Like it's nothing, you know. And I wrap it up and I leave, you know. Some of the shit is just laughable. You know, it's laughable. You know, I didn't have anybody that was like tending to my needs like emotionally during those years. But I was still being like active myself. Like, there was somebody that I was dealing with on and off over those college years. But it was like late night link ups, and he never wanted to take it any further. It was just hookups. And I kept cutting it off because I kept wanting more. But then when I would we would spend some time apart, and then I would start to want some level of like physical intimacy, and so I went back to it even though he wasn't giving the emotional. But I think that Jared was the primary one giving me the emotional, but it wasn't healthy. It was toxic, you know. And it was all self-serving on his side. It wasn't self-serving me, you know. In any of my needs emotionally. And that's what I lived in. Okay, well, I'm gonna talk about my relationship with James Blaine. I've been dreading talking about this.